Since the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear accident occurred in 2011, I have been actively involved in public communication of the health risks of radiation. I have spoken to a wide range of audiences, from school children to environmental groups to government officials in the UK and internationally. I have also visited local groups in Fukushima to answer their questions and address their concerns about radiation. I hope this message will further contribute to reassure people about the current situation. I've spent most of my working life studying the consequences of the Chernobyl accident. I started researching the health effects of the Chernobyl accident in 1992 with researchers in Belarus, Ukraine and Russia. Building on this research, I established the Chernobyl Tissue Bank in 1998. We now have good evidence from Chernobyl that the main consequence of exposure to radioiodine from a nuclear power plant accident is thyroid cancer in those who were exposed at a very young age. The number of thyroid cancers is related to the amount of radiation received by people. We know that if we reduce the exposure to radioiodine by avoiding inhalation and by providing food that is uncontaminated by radioiodine to eat, we can reduce the dose of radiation to individuals. This was done very successfully post-Fukushima, and the doses of radioiodine received, on average, were very small when compared to those following the Chernobyl accident. In addition, the Japanese diet, which already contains lots of stable iodine, will have played a role in reducing uptake of radioactive iodine into people's bodies. Contamination by radioactive iodine is very short-lived. Within 3 months, all the radioactive iodine released has gone from the environment. Some people worry more about contamination by other elements released from the nuclear power plant that survive for longer in the environment, for example, radioactive cesium. However, in contrast to radioactive iodine, there is no evidence of any health effects of exposure to radioactive cesium following Chernobyl, probably because the dose of radiation received by the majority of people was equivalent to less than that of a single CT scan. As was the case with the radioiodine, much less radioactive cesium was released from Fukushima than Chernobyl. 2 recent reports, one by the WHO, the World Health Organization, and the other by UNSCEAR, or the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation, have shown that it will be very unlikely that there will be any health effects from exposure to radiation following the Fukushima accident. This is because the dose received by any one individual was very much lower than the doses measured after Chernobyl. UNSCEAR, in its recent report on the Chernobyl accident, stated that in contrast to what many people believe, the worst health effect of the accident came from the fear of what the radiation might do rather than what effects the radiation actually caused. Worrying about what might happen can have a very bad effect on quality of life and can lead to stress-related illnesses. Through my discussions in Fukushima, I also found that people are being overwhelmed with conflicting information being provided from a variety of sources, and information that is full of scientific jargon and hard to understand. This was making the local residents in Fukushima even more anxious and concerned about the situation. What we are seeing now is not a health issue, but a communication issue. My recent visit to Fukushima made me realise even more keenly the importance of risk communication. It will only be by our continued dialogue that we can reach a common understanding, that facts in relation to radiation are understood from a scientific perspective rather than being left open to interpretation. I believe in this dialogue and stand ready to lend my expertise to the process.